Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bad Conductors.
Hello,
And we do not have Braden K.
Clark.
here to make the Godzilla reference again. Today is just the two of us.
I'm the Godzilla guy. He just screams, which prompts it.
We don't have Braden here to scream for you.
Haven't heard that one before.
I am Hot Chris Carnduff, and then in front of me controlling all the levels is...
Sweet Milky. Back again. Back at it. Here, live, alive. It's Wilson. It's me. Wilson McDonald.
Yeah. Just the two of us.
We can make it if we try.
So today on the show,
Just Stevie Wonder quotes the whole time.
we can do rock, paper, scissors, and there will
And
be...
actually have something that turns out? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a first.
Um,
But our sweet visual moment is lost, Chris.
It'll still be a great visual moment, just the two of us. We can make it if we try. So today on the show, I want to talk about,
Stevie Wonder.
yeah, how do blind people get around? Because he shares
a case study
he,
by Chris Carnduff.
he shares a trait with Helen Keller, which makes him better than the rest of us, right?
Yeah, and the pinball wizard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that on the podcast or?
No.
Oh, okay.
We could talk about that sometime, though. We can fill in Braden's segment with talking about how close the pinball wizard is to Helen Keller.
Yeah. Well, is there really much to say other than that? Helen Keller couldn't play pinball, but
That we know of.
But Tommy couldn't write a book. That we know of.
And neither of them could lead a successful cult.
That we know of.
All right, so today on the show, I want to talk about Micah Erenberg.
Again.
Yeah.
Back at it.
Yeah.
Episode 3. And we're talking about the same thing already.
Oh, are we? What are you talking about? What do you want to talk about?
What do I want to talk about?
Yeah.
I was going to talk about Micah as well with you.
Perfect.
And might touch on the groove theory that I went to yesterday at Mikey's.
Cool.
Groove Theory Jam.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly Micah. I mean, that was both of our weeks mostly.
Yeah.
2 days in a row.
Yeah.
I've converted Chris. I was talking
Well.
about Micah all the first episode, and now Chris is going to talk about Micah. And eventually, everyone will be talking about Micah. At least they should.
I have my rough draft of the review I wrote of the Red Deer show with us, so I can read some of my finer moments from that. But
Dearly
anyway.
beloved, we're gathered here today.
Let's do rock, paper, scissors about who gets to start, I guess.
Wow. This is such a contentious issue. We're going to talk back and forth about the same thing either way.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Come on. It's a tie. Because what else would it be? It wouldn't be Bad Conductors if we didn't tie our rock, paper, scissors with no one to see it.
I guess we're talking about the same thing anyway, so...
Yep.
Well, on Tuesday, what a beautiful day it was.
The 13th, right?
Yes, the 13th, Tuesday the 13th. I have that written down, so let
lucky.
me confirm.
Lucky 13.
Yeah, the 13th. That was a good day. That was a really good day. So what happened was I got done teaching. Then Wilson and I both hopped into a car after having some severe technical difficulties with uploading the last episode. And we drove an hour and a half up to Edmonton.
The last episode. Maybe
To Red Deer. To Red Deer. Not to Edmonton.
Yes.
Edmonton is 3 hours away.
Yes. That would be driving nice and fast. Make good time to Edmonton if you make it in an hour and a half.
So we drove up, and Bo's Bar and Grill is where it was happening. Bo's is a really, really frequented Bose is a really, really frequented venue in Red Deer for touring bands across Alberta.
Yeah, I keep seeing it pop up every time somebody's touring, even just Alberta. I'd never been, so I thought it was time.
It was really cool too. Like you can see why people play there all the time.
Yeah, it was a nice bar.
Yeah.
Had pretty good food too.
It was a big bar.
It was.
There was a lot of room in there. I like the pseudo green room that they had set up for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And the stage was quite spacious and really high up. It was like a 4.5 foot stage.
Yeah, it was legit.
Yeah, that was a serious place. So we're there on a Tuesday.
Tuesday night, yeah.
Which means, Tuesday nights are not renowned for bringing out the most people. But there was a modest crowd.
Yeah, there was a decent turnout.
Yeah, there was, well, you say like 30.
30 to 50.
Yeah, that sounds right. All right, so to give you the picture, dear listener, Wilson, all I knew about this band, about Micah Erenberg, was what Wilson had said about how they sound. I think I might have listened to one or two recordings on the way up.
Not on the way there. I think I'd show you a few a long time ago.
Yeah, so I really didn't know what they sounded like, except for what Wilson had said to me. And
on episode 1.
Yeah.
Listen now. SoundCloud.com/badconductors.
Yeah, I think so. We'll bring up a graphic.
Try
People
it.
can click on the annotation.
Yeah. Yeah. Click the hyperlink now. Right on your headphones.
Welcome back. So that's all I had heard about Micah. So, usually places like to put other bands in and opening bands that sound similar. And Bo's Bar and Grill is such a legit place that you would think they would do that too. And, they kind of did. But anyways, I digress. The first guy that was up was a solo guitar act named Devin Cooper. And he was by himself on stage, except for a loop pedal.
Yeah. And he actually managed it pretty decently.
Yeah.
His loops were in time and not overbearing.
At all.
Yeah.
It was hard for his loops to be overbearing with how he played that instrument too.
That's true. Yeah.
He was a real shredder.
Which is funny because he was playing an acoustic.
Yeah. I actually went up to him afterwards and I asked him if he could show me his hand so I could see if he cut any of his fingers while he was playing on stage.
Should have asked him what string gauge he used.
I did.
Oh.
Yeah, he's using 11s.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Pretty bright 11s though, so I imagine they're like solidly just nickel.
Well, that would be electric strings, whereas acoustics, the 80-20 bronze is the super bright. Nickel is actually a little warmer compared to the bronze ones.
There's a tip for this week.
There's me working at a music store for a while, knowledge coming out.
This should show that I'm a far better teacher than I am a guitar tech. Hey, could you set up my guitar next time? I need it set up.
Sure.
Okay. Anyway. So yeah, I went in and I asked him. This guy could shred that acoustic. He was going up and down just at wicked fast speeds. And the guy was only 20 years old or something like that.
Yeah, he seemed pretty young.
Yeah, so...
Younger than us.
Yeah. He was...
Us old men.
Yeah, a 24-year-old and a 25-year-old. We're old.
Ancient.
What? I wrote here in my review...
I've got Parkinson's. What?
I didn't see blood dripping off his guitar neck, which only proves that his calloused fingers long since endured the novice torture all players experience. And that is extremely true because I looked at his fingers and they were like mechanic's hands. He had sausages for fingers and they were just totally covered in calluses.
Maybe he is a mechanic as well.
Yeah, I mean, he lived in the Portland of Alberta.
Yeah. That was a good quote.
Yep. from the third band, which is Micah Erenberg, but we'll get there.
He
Anyways,
didn't even say that on Red Deer. He said that when he was in Calgary.
the next night. Yeah, so this first guy, Devin Cooper, he's really good, and he was so good that the crowd called him back for an encore, and he was the first. He was the first one up.
Yeah, you don't see an encore for the first guy a lot of the time.
I can't remember the last time I saw that happen.
The last time I saw not the last band get an encore was when I saw Micah at Palomino, because he was the second band.
Well, there you go. Anyway, so yeah, Devin Cooper, check him out. Good blues guitarist, good blues songwriter. So the next guy that was up was called Tyler Allen, and I have a quote from my review here. A straightforward country solo act that took me back to the good old days of listening to Alan Jackson on a hot Stampede day. No extremely virtuosic or fancy attempts at pretension during his set, which made my Pilsner taste crisper and my Canadian tuxedo feel comfy as plaid pajamas on a cold December night.
That's a good way to sum him up. And he looked just like Alan Stone, which weirded me out. If anybody knows who that is, he's like a soul singer from, I think he's from the Portland area, but
Red Deer?
yeah. Las Vegas, LA, Alberta.
Yeah, I really liked him. He was really down-to-earth country.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a solid set.
Yeah.
Nothing that will like totally blow you away, but just a nice, good band. Well, band with air quotes.
Good solo performer.
Good time.
He wrote good tunes. He played.
He had a nice Epiphone hummingbird.
The covers that he chose were fitting, and
Yep.
Yeah, he never did anything wrong. He could play solos once in a while, but his voice really, I think, really took everybody in, because he never ever tried to be a tenor at all. He just was like, I'm a baritone and I'm going to stick with that. And that was the right decision.
Yeah, definitely. He knew what his limitations were, and he stuck right within them, and it sounded good.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I don't think I'm going to be traveling across the country to go see him, but if I saw his name pop up somewhere down in Calgary, I'd probably go out and make the effort.
Or it'd be like a nice, pleasant surprise when you see him open up for somebody.
Yeah, it'd be a really pleasant surprise. I would. Yeah.
But yeah, the whole show was really solid. I was impressed with the lineup. Micah was a little bit out of place. If he had been solo, he would have fit right in. But with the band, he gets a little more weird.
And this is what I want to get to. So we've just set up that we've had a blues acoustic act.
Yeah,
and then we've had
a blues acoustic act that closed out by playing a Johnny Cash cover.
Yeah.
So verging on country, and then just like a straight up country guy playing.
So I thought that Micah was going to be like that, and he wasn't.
No. When he plays solo, he kind of is. He definitely was a few years ago, I think, because a lot of his early recording stuff that I have is a lot more like that. But it's more like indie rock. It can verge on like punk sometimes. It can remind me of bands like the Pants Situation, which is an old Calgary band.
If anybody knows what the Pants Situation sounds like, hit us up.
Yeah. They got an album called The Ugly Man from over 10 years ago now. That was a really good one that I listened to in high school.
When you were 15.
I think I would have been like 14.
The only venues you'd be able to go to are like the New Black.
I was going to the community hall shows, seeing Beja Flor. There's some bands that no one will talk about or remember probably that listens to our show, but
oh yeah.
But yeah, like almost Franz Ferdinand sometimes, like getting on that kind of thing. But then like really ethereal stuff, like
which is how they opened up. They opened up with Into the Night, and that song by itself, how they did it, convinced me that this band was serious business. It's a really like bring you in, draw you in kind of song. If it's the first song you're ever hearing by them, like say the 3 people who were super drunk at Mikey's in front of us on the next night, then it gives you a bad or not a bad impression. It gives you an inaccurate impression, like the beginning of that song, of what that band really is. It's so ethereal. It's so open.
Yeah, it's very like slow, kind of intimate in a way.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily how the rest of the set's gonna go. But I think it is a really good way to open up the set.
Especially because then they hit the latter half of the song.
Yeah.
And then you're sold. Like, you're just there. They go into this wicked solo section. And to give you a perspective of what it's going to sound like, you have your drummer doing drummer things. I'm not a drummer. Not going to be able to say if it was any good.
If only we had a drummer on this podcast.
If only. And then you had your bassist, and the bass groove never deviated. And it was a bassist playing a really, really awesome looking bass. I think it was looks like a Fender P bass.
It wasn't a Fender, but it looked like one.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to say it was a Washburn, but I know it wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
But it was definitely some other brand. It wasn't an actual Fender, but it was basically a P bass.
Yeah, and he was running through an Ampeg Micro GL, so it had the 200 watt amp, which I love those amps dearly.
Yeah, those things are awesome.
And he was a pick player.
Mm-hmm.
And he laid down just grooves, and the guy got into the pocket and he never got out of the pocket, which I'm a bit of a sucker for virtuosic bass playing, which usually means I want to see a bassist start to do really interesting things, but he didn't have to. In fact, if he had done interesting things, it would have taken away from the rest of the music.
Yeah, it would have stepped all over the rest of the band.
Because
yeah, they're a 5-piece.
Yeah.
Like, it's 3 guitars. It's an acoustic and 2 electrics.
And
so
the acoustic...
You can't... Like, there's no room to do that when there's so many players.
Exactly. And the acoustic is taking charge, really, of kind of evening out where the melody and where... Pardon me, not where the melody, but where the rhythm and where the... I'm going to get the words in my head here. The acoustic guitar is really evening out where the percussion and the rhythm meet. The bassist in this band, although bass usually does that because of its frequencies, the acoustic guitar really takes that place.
Yeah, well, it's Kieran West, and he just lays down chords the whole time.
And it's great.
And sings back up.
Yeah.
It's like, a lot of people probably wouldn't want to do that job because it would be boring to a lot of people because they want to do solos. But like, doing that kind of thing, yeah, you're right in the pocket and you're laying down the foundation for the band.
Mm-hmm. So that really opened up the bass to put down some really awesome grooves. So we had a good drummer, really awesome acoustic guitarist who was in the pocket, and then
we
a
should
bassist.
touch on drummer.
Oh yeah,
because as I was saying in episode 1, there was no drummer at the Palomino show. Their drummer had to go back home to Manitoba because of personal things. So they were just a 4-piece, no drummer, and it was still a really good show then. And then in Red Deer, they actually ran into at their hotel an old drummer from their band, and he was playing up there with them and just kind of laying down a groove. And then we're talking about the Tuesday show in Red Deer right now, but we also saw him, spoiler alert, for later in the show, we also saw him on Wednesday night at Mikey's Juke Joint, and their normal drummer, Dan, was back. They had gone up from Red Deer to Edmonton and then driven down to Calgary to go pick up Dan from Edmonton. And so all 3 shows I saw them at were kind of different because it was like no drummer, an old drummer, and then the regular drummer. So it was all kind of different experiences. But yeah, let's dive back into the Tuesday night set. We'll get to the Wednesday one.
So all that being said, when you get to the second half of that song, Into the Night, so you have all this happening in the rhythm section, which is essentially still the drummer, the bassist, and the acoustic guitar. And it makes this beautiful amount of room for the two electrics that are on stage. Micah himself is playing one of those two electrics.
Yep.
And
Playing a Strat.
and the other one, I forget the other guy's name.
Casimir.
Casimir, yes. And he's playing this, he was playing a Jag.
Yep.
Or Mustang, pardon me.
Was
Because
it?
the Jag is,
Or was it a Jazzmaster?
might have been Jazzmaster. Anyway.
I don't remember. Some offset Fender.
Yeah. And, oh my God, can those guys play the guitar?
Yeah. They're both really, really good.
It,
And they know how to give each other the space to move into, which is the most important part. They're never stepping on each other's toes.
they opened up a set with a song that had dueling guitar solos. And my mind was completely blown. Just watching those guys play was, I had tingles running up and down my spine. I was right there just staring at their fingers and watching how they were interacting on stage. And the band was so tight behind them. The bassist was right there with the drummer. They just had everything laid down. There was all this room, and they just controlled everything.
Yeah. They're a brick wall, and Mike and Casimir can be all the things to decorate it.
And they weren't even like, we're just going to start moving our fingers around and see what happens. Like, they had ideas. They had a ton of ideas.
Yeah.
And-
they knew exactly what they were doing with it.
And every idea was pointed, and every idea made sense.
Well, and one of the best things about seeing him 2 nights in a row is you could kind of see how the ideas were still there the second time around, but they knew how to work within them at the same time.
Yeah. And heck, even the second time around, there were new ideas that we heard the second time around that they didn't play the first night on
Well,
Tuesday.
and there were different ones from when I saw them like 3 weeks ago.
These guys were seriously good musicians, not just good at their instruments.
Yeah.
And not just good at songwriting. Yeah, can we talk about that for a second? On top of being a badass guitar player and having a band that just fit the music so well and just, oh my goodness.
Right in the pocket. Yeah.
Yeah. On top of all that, Micah also writes one heck of a good tune.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like melodies are super catchy. His lyrics are really witty.
Really witty, yeah.
Like they can be just kind of I don't want to say like bog standard because a lot of times that means lame. But like they're straightforward a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But then at other times you're like cackling because they're really funny.
Yeah. Like King of Canadian Beer
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
or Morphine.
Morphine's probably his most popular song, and that one is like verging on being a comedy song.
It's pretty close. And if you were to hear Morphine or King of Canadian Beer, you might be convinced that they might fit into the more country-esque style of music. Less so with King of Canadian Beer.
Well, less so with the version live of King of Canadian Beer, because they turn it like almost punk in a way
Yeah.
with the full band. But the recorded version that I have, that's from like an old cassette tape demo thing that I got from him the first time he came through town, is it's like just a straight up country song.
Well, there we go. Then, yeah, if you were booking this
Well,
band... and
yeah,
you
because
were-
it's just him with an acoustic on the recording. So it just sounds like a country song.
Yeah. But this band was... it's just hard to nail them down as anything but really good.
Yeah. Well, you could kind of probably hear that I was struggling a little to describe them the first time around in episode 1. But like, I think late Elliott Smith is a good comparison.
Yeah.
Because it's got, like, you've got those early Elliott Smith songs that are, like, just straight up folk songs. And you have that with Micah, too. You've got that base of, like, country and folk and roots. And that still comes through. But then you've got all of these, like, thick layers of guitars on top of each other and guitar pedals and harmonies and all of this stuff that turns it into like an indie band.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can verge on prog, and you can verge on funk, and you can verge on punk.
I had when I was writing my review, the closest I think I could get to describing them was saying, what do you get when you cross Weaker Than's lyrical quality with Dan Mangan intimacy and Sheepdog's dueling guitars?
Yeah.
If I'm going to describe them as anything, I think those three fit, but at the same time...
Well, and those three are all very Canadian bands, which this is as well, so...
Oh, yeah. Which just warms my heart even more. They were...
Pure Canadiana.
Yeah. They were that good. They blew my mind. But, I mean, apart from the intensely good guitar playing, and I mean intensely good guitar playing, when Micah gets into the zone and closes his eyes and starts really, shredding on that guitar, it's like he's in a completely different world. And he brings everybody in the room with him to that totally different world, and it's the best world.
Yeah, it was awesome after the Mikey show, because it was Wednesday night and after like the open mic jam that's hosted by Jay Bocott, and it was like everybody in the room was going up to talk to him and like get a shirt, get a CD, get a vinyl.
Get in early while this band is still just touring around and coming to Mikey's Juke Joint.
Yeah. Yeah, there are shows in Calgary that I've seen were a house show just playing at the open mic, and those two were just Micah solo. Then they played at like some bar on 16th Avenue, and then they played at Mikey's Juke Joint, and Palomino.
Yeah.
And Palomino's like the one. Well, Mikey's Juke Joint is a solid stage.
Oh yeah.
And people go to it. On a Wednesday night, it was a little bit sparser than it could be, but it was still a pretty decent turnout for a Wednesday.
Oh, for sure,
So-
yeah. And with the three totally wasted people in front of us who all of a sudden turned into, Roger and Ebert when they all had a bunch of shots of Sambuca. Shout out to you three if you're listening at any point.
You're the real champions here.
But apart from that, what got me about his show, and about the show, I don't want to say his show, but it kind of was his stage banter and just how much he connected with everybody. I wrote down, Micah's stage banter struck the room to the size of a dime within the first three tunes, and his clever lyrics held the tiny coin like it was precious silver. It takes me right back, even just saying those words takes me right back to both the Tuesday night and the Wednesday night show. And to see how he's just trying to reach out, and he's making jokes with the audience, and sometimes they're kind of awkward and nobody really laughs. But it just helps to bring the room together. And he does it in such an elegant way that he never does it too much. He never goes on too long. He just really helps everybody feel like family.
He definitely, no matter how big the room is, it feels like that first living room house show that I saw him at.
Yeah.
Because he was doing it then, and it's exactly the same.
That's so cool. And then on top of that, the guy is also really, really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a total sweetheart.
Yeah. How easy it could have been for him to claim the stage with a greedy flag, but instead he provided the hardwood territory with a humble talent. And oh my goodness, they were just so good. They were so good. They were so good. Everybody, turn this off right now. Go onto their Bandcamp and listen to the album, and then book tickets.
They're on Spotify. I'm pretty sure they're on Spotify. They're definitely on Google Play, so I would think they're on Spotify as well.
You can download them from iTunes as well.
There you go.
So
Everywhere.
they really are, and they should be everywhere.
They should.
Because that's one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Yeah, and we've gone to some good ones.
We've been to some very good shows.
But yeah, I wasn't lying when I was saying they were really good.
Not even a little bit. I can't believe that I'm just buying into this band now. Like, I was excited for the show on Tuesday for sure, but, I came away with a vinyl and a t-shirt and just praying that I could go see them again before the end of the tour. Speaking of which, they're going to be in Calgary again.
Yeah, Sled Island.
The 23rd.
Third.
It's on the Saturday.
Saturday, yeah. It's at 3:30, I think.
Yep.
3 or 3:30. Broken City.
Patio.
Broken City patio, yeah.
Yep. $12. That's how much. $12 to go see this band. I cannot believe.
And I'm assuming tons of other bands since it's during Sled Island at Broken City. But it's worth it even if it was just them.
I would pay $50 to go see these guys play. Like,
well,
it was worth it.
basically did on Tuesday driving to Red Deer.
Gas, see the band, buy the vinyl, buy the shirt. Yeah, that was an
buy
expensive
food
day.
at the bar.
Buy
a
beer.
couple beers. It's worth it.
Oh, every dime.
Yeah.
Every dime. And then Micah also was a super, super chill guy who said hi and got to shake his hand and have a conversation with him.
Yep.
And I was trying to avoid fanboying out, and I just heard them for the first time. And I don't think I did a very good job. I think I fanboyed out just a little bit.
Well, you did ask him for an autograph on your vinyl, so I think that was...
Get in early. Get in that now. It's going to be really, really valuable in like 5 years.
Hopefully, yeah. It should be. If it isn't, then it's a crime.
Indeed it is. Well, we've been recording now for like 45 minutes.
Yeah. Well, 37. I'm looking at the timer.
So,
Wilson and Chris gush over Micah Erenberg for an hour. The episode. And we didn't even finish the show yet. In Red Deer. It wasn't just Micah. It didn't end with Micah.
No, it didn't.
Richard Inman, another Manitoban. More country, more like Townes Van Sant kind of style. Old school country. He came up and played a set, and Micah played lead guitar with him. And that was a great, great show as well. Richard is a really good writer. But yeah, definitely more of that kind of brooding, sad country like Townes Van Sant and that ilk. And yeah, that was a really solid show as well. I think Richard's in town 26th, something like that. He's at Ironwood end of the month. And Micah is either playing with him or opening for him or something. Micah is going to be there. In what capacity? I don't think he's even totally sure yet from what I was talking to him about it. Richard Inman was great too.
Yeah. What the hell is happening in Manitoba? Why are we talking about the Calgary local scene?
Well, it's like that whole boredom thing we were touching on. What are you going to do in Manitoba except for play guitar? Get really, really, really good at it. Especially when you live in Matlock.
It's not even Winnipeg.
Yeah, they're not even in Winnipeg. They're in Matlock, Manitoba.
Not even in Brandon.
No.
At least you can go see the Wee Kings play in Brandon.
Oh, boy. You can tell that I'm a huge hockey fan.
You will be. I'm convinced that at some point in your life, you're going to like hockey.
You will be.
It might be like the last 6 months of your life, but it'll be
because it'll kill me to do it.
Get so into it, you're going to jump over the boards and try to beat up whoever the enforcer is on the other team. And then the Wednesday night show was really nice. Fish tacos at Mikey's are great.
Oh, yeah. And He wasn't there this week. He's on vacation, but Pat, the bartender, most of the time is an awesome dude. I've known Pat for ages.
And when Micah got up to play, I was wondering how they were going to fit on stage.
Yeah, it's a tiny little stage, but they got 5 people on there.
Yeah.
But that happened at the Groove Theory I went to on Thursday as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. My friend Hubert was in town, and he went up and played with a few of the bands. He's a really, really good keyboard player, virtuoso keyboard player. And yeah, he was just like jamming with some bands. At one point, this Latin group went up, and there was one guy rapping in Spanish and a girl singing in Spanish, and they're playing bossa nova, and it was fun. And then there was like dueling cellos at one point that covered a Nirvana song to open up, and it was weird, but it was good. It was an experience.
Good time had by all, because it's Mikey's, and you can't have a bad time at Mikey's.
Yeah, Mikey's is great. I like Mikey's a lot. It's not the best stage in town, but it's one of the most fun bars to go to in town.
Yeah, it's a great
which is that's more than halfway there. If you're having fun, even when it's a crappy stage, that means it's a really good place.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, that's a tiny little stage there. But, yeah, I mean, most nights it's kind of a different sound guy every time, because a lot of the times they just get the bands to do the sound. So
with mixed results, I'm sure.
Yeah, so sometimes you get really good sound and sometimes you don't. Jay knows what he's doing, Jay Bocott, on Wednesdays. So Micah's band sounded really good.
Yeah.
And Micah's band also know what they're doing, so I'm sure they helped with that. But yeah, I've definitely been to shows there where it's so-so for sound quality.
There's a lot of places like that, though, right? Like, remember the old Blind Beggar?
Yeah. Well, the problem there was the sound guy would set levels, and then all the bands would change their levels, and the sound guy would just go outside and smoke a joint and leave all the levels where they were.
When we played, I made sure that I was the nicest person to that sound guy, and by the last couple times we played, he would come and set our levels differently than everybody else.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced
yeah.
that's because we were nice to him.
One of the problems was everybody was an asshole to the sound guy at Blind Beggar.
Yeah.
So he just didn't give a shit, and he smoked a joint instead.
Yeah.
Which is fine, too.
Yeah.
If everybody was being an asshole to me when I was the sound guy, I probably wouldn't really want to do it, and I'd just go outside and smoke a joint.
Yeah. But when we were nice to him, then he took care of us. He was a good guy.
Oh, yeah. I still haven't been to the new one, and it's been open for a while now.
Yeah.
But yeah, back in the old Red Lot days, we spent a lot of time at the Blind Beggar.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I think that's all we really have to say. Okay.
A comprehensive review of Micah's band.
I thought it was funny that Micah broke a string on his guitar on Wednesday night when they played the song Unlucky.
Yes. That's a great song, too.
It is. But
that one is good on the album, and it's incredible live.
That describes every song on the album right there.
That one more so than most of the other ones.
Yeah. I still like Morphine live more than I like it on the album. Because of how he ends it.
Most of them are better live, but Unlucky is like, it's good on the album. It's like one of the best songs they play live.
Yeah.
It's really, really good when they play it live.
Now that we've talked about Micah Erenberg, they've just changed the band name on Facebook if you're going to look them up. Laserbeam. Really great. Exceptional. We can spend an hour or more talking about how
46 minutes.
We can spend 46 minutes talking about one show and how good it was.
Well, kind of 2 shows, but
kind of. It was pretty well the same set.
For the most part. There was a couple that switched up, but yeah, for the most part it was the same set.
Yeah, and the drumming was different in both of them, but
yeah, it was great to have the band back together, and you could tell that the band was all very relieved to have the band back together.
Yeah, it was a nice time it was very intimate on Wednesday, for sure. Yeah. And not to say Tuesday wasn't very intimate. Everything feels intimate in a show way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, that's probably
Wilson and
enough.
Chris getting intimate with Micah Erenberg.
Oh,
Okay, what's coming up? What are we doing?
what's coming up? Well, that show that I was talking about that was supposed to be on today, that underage show with that underage band, they're playing in
Yes.
2 weeks now. So
Yes.
my plan for
What are they called again?
they're called the Slick 68s.
Right.
My plan for next week now is gone totally out the window because I was going to talk about them. So I have to come up with a brand new idea that I don't know what I'm going to talk about yet. I might cover,
You'll have to go see somebody, I guess.
or I might even give a comprehensive review of the Ashley Hundreds cassette.
Oh yeah.
Their little
You
4-track
picked that up.
cassette.
You can actually talk about Ashley 100 this time. Or maybe you'll just talk about Copperhead again.
Man, Copperhead was so good on this record.
On this Ashley 100 cassette.
What are you going to talk about next week?
Well, I'm thinking I'm probably going down to the I'm the Mountain show tonight at the Night Owl. That's Friday night, which will be in the past when you listen to this. Oh, I wanted to say today, Friday, what's today, the 16th?
Yep.
Amy Nelson was recording her music video down at Commonwealth, so hopefully that'll be out soon. It's for a song called How Long Blues, and that one's really cool. I'll keep everybody updated on when that comes out. Other than that, next week is Sled Island.
Hey!
So by the next time we record, we might be talking about Micah again. So
Dibs.
This is the Micah Erenberg podcast. I've been your host, Micah. Beside me is Micah, and next week we'll have Micah. Thanks, Micah. No, but I'm tomorrow, Saturday, which will also probably be in the past by people who are listening to this. I might be going to Get a Boys to a metal show that our old friend Dustin, who's in Riot City, invited me to. And then for Sled Island, I'm probably going to the show on Thursday, the 22nd, at Local 510, which is the Beetroot BC Cotton Candy show. And Peach Pyramid's opening that one up, and it's got a bunch of other cool BC bands playing. Brass, Needles and Pins, Sightlines, Glad Rags are the other bands. But yeah, I'm mostly going for Peach Pyramid because I know Jen and I know they're really great, but I'm sure the other bands are cool too. I don't really know them because they're from BC.
And you're going to find out.
I guess so. Yeah, that looks like all I have written down for next week. But yeah, Sled Island, go see cool bands. I haven't really followed who's playing that much other than people that I know. Check it out.
Good.
Sled Island. No one's ever heard of it, right?
Nobody.
Nobody.
Thanks so much, everybody, for listening in this week. This has been episode 3 of Bad Conductors, maybe episode 2, 3, depending how we decide to edit it.
See,
I have been one of your hosts, Hot Chris Carnduff. Beside me or in front of me is...
Wilson McDonald,
and
the one and only.
Sweet Milky. And ethereally with us in spirit has been...
And listening now, first, before anyone. Editing this
Very video.
video. With all these visual gags.
Has been Braden KK Clark. All right, well, that's it. Thanks so much for listening, everybody.
Okay.
Okay, bye.